Welcome everyone to Spotlight with that B, and this is episode 11. I am super excited to share with everyone this particular episode because it happens to be, it's actually three events that I will be spotlighting. It was something that I chose to do in celebration of my birthday, even though it was not on my birthday, but it was within the week of my birthday. And that is, I attended Keith Sweat's birthday bash at the Hard Rock here in Hollywood, Florida, which is about an hour from where I live in Miami. Now, initially, what I was going to do was attend the show. It was a concert. It had an amazing lineup, which is Keith Sweat, Genuine, one of my favorite all-time artists, and that's Tank. And SWV was also there, Drew Hill, and of course, Keith Sweat. I had a phenomenal time. Now, because I don't believe, to be honest with you, with all the things I have done, I don't believe that I have actually ever attended a fashion show. So I went to his fashion show for his bags. I believe they're luxury bags. I really did enjoy doing the fashion show. It was before the actual show. Now, as I normally do, I'm going to take you through my experience throughout the day. So I definitely enjoyed it. I did get some content while I was there. It was a little bit far for me, but since it was for the artist that I was going to go see and Tank, um, I definitely wanted to attend. It is something where it takes, with traffic, it takes quite some time to get from where I live over to the actual event or to the Hard Rock. It took like about a good hour for me to arrive. Once you arrive, you do have to find parking. Parking was free at the Hard Rock. It's not something where you have to actually pay for parking. So there was no issues as far as locating the parking or pricing and parking. However, when I was leaving, that was a whole nother story. In regards to, it was a big hectic. I was on the fifth floor. I was wearing heels. It was something where, if I would have experienced more events at the Hard Rock, I might have been able to know that as you're leaving, you have to keep in mind that you are also fighting the crowd of everyone that is also leaving the event. That I didn't take into consideration, but for the next time, I definitely will. So, so I did attend the fashion show first. It was something where I believe because I purchased the tickets the way that I did, you automatically got an email where it was advising you that they were doing this particular event. I also do know that Keith Sweat had posted it on his page. Uh, I don't think a lot of people knew about it, but I know I did. And the moment I saw that he was doing that, I was like, I could opt to just do the other two events, but I wanted to definitely experience the fashion show and I wanted to support Keith Sweat. Uh, I have mentioned this often. He is one of my favorite singers as well. I had never seen him before. Quite a few of the artists in the lineup, and let me think about it, besides Tank, I don't think I had seen anyone else that was in the lineup. So I was definitely looking forward to it. While we were at the fashion show, they did have food there for people. They had drinks. They had a really nice setup. I sat in the front because I wanted to make sure that I got good content showing the models and the bags that were actually part of the fashion show. So I really enjoyed the fashion show. He did do an interview, and I finagled my way to the front to get a clip or a few clips of while he was doing the interview with, I believe it was really supposed to be media or press, but he was doing it with a radio station that's from Miami. And I did get a little bit of content so y'all could see. Um, and, um, and then I pretty much sat down and waited for the fashion show to, to happen, to end, because my main goal is I was just super excited to actually see him perform. He did speak to the crowd at the fashion show. We sang happy birthday for him, everyone that was there at the fashion show. So it was definitely something that I'm glad I didn't miss. If it's something where you do have an opportunity to do something like that, I would definitely recommend it. I know um, I wasn't there to eat or to drink. I don't really drink a lot, as I've mentioned before. Not in these days now. I don't drink a lot. So, and I didn't want to eat, even though the food looked good, except I didn't want to be on a full stomach as I'm trying to really enjoy the main event, which was his concert. It lasted about, I would say, an hour and a half. Um, and it was right before the actual show. Soon after the fashion show ended, it was still everything was still located under the same roof. So it was still the same building. You just now had to go to different areas. I believe the fashion show it was in a particular ballroom that they have set up for different events. It was in walking distance. I only had to walk, I don't even think 10 minutes from where that was going on to where the actual show was being had. Um, Now the show. Keith, Keith, I'm always messing around with his name, calling him Keith, but let me say his name correctly. Keith Sweat blew my mind at this show. I think all the artists did amazing. I think it showed me definitely what a top tier lineup is like and what to expect. Not that I haven't, for example, I've seen Tank numerous times. Each and every time, I think he's phenomenal. I'm always thinking, each and every time I see this man perform, I need it to be longer. I need to hear more of his catalog. And this time was no different. So my seats were phenomenal. I'm very glad that I chose the seats that I had. I had an amazing view. I was lucky because I did get to sit around a good group of people. I'm actually gonna show a picture that I took, which will probably be on this side, of a couple that I actually sat next to, which had driven from Key West to Hollywood, Florida. For those that don't know, that is a good 5 to 6 hour drive. Um, they explained to me, first of all, they were my age. They had been married for, I think they told me, like 20 years. They had known each other since high school, and they were telling me the entire time, both the husband and the wife, how they were looking forward to seeing Keith Sweat yet again live. And they were like, "Have you seen him live yet?" And I was like, "No, actually I haven't. This will be my first time." And they didn't even know who else was on the lineup. They had to ask me because they were like, "Actually, who else is on? Because we don't know. We came to see the Sweat." From what they told me, they used to listen to Keith Sweat in high school. They told me their wedding song was "Make It Last Forever." Um, their words, not mine, and you will see a picture of them. It's super, super cool couple, by the way. They were like, we tell our daughters, because they have quite a few daughters, they told me, we tell our daughters that they were all conceived with Keith Sweat in the room because they listen to so much Keith Sweat. So now, sitting next to people with that type of vibe, I was super excited for when all the artists came out. The initial person, the opener, was Genuine. I had never seen Genuine live. I am looking forward to the next time he is in a lineup. Hopefully, God hears my prayers, because I am hoping that in the near future I get to see TGT, and that's Tank, Genuine, and Tyrese. I don't know if people say it's usually Tyrese, Genuine, and Tank, but in my book, no shade to Tyrese, but in my book, it's Tank, Genuine, Tyrese. So Genuine blew my mind too. I was like, he's actually very, very good. The only thing, I have one complaint only. I thought he danced good. I thought he had, great charisma. His voice sounded amazing. And the only thing I would have to complain about is I would have loved if it would have been longer. He was joking around and saying, I think this is like a running joke where he's like, I only get 15 minutes. I did a live on my IG, and that's even something that I mentioned because it was funny, but I was like, actually, can we give him more than 15 minutes? So that's the only complaint I have. I wish it would have been longer. The second person that came on was Tank. I got some video. And this is a running joke with me and my friends. I'm always saying, because I'm always, sticking up for Tank. Tank is not just his looks, it's about his, personality, and he's a phenomenal artist, and I don't like it when people sexually harass Tank and try to insinuate that women, especially myself, that we only really like Tank not because of his talent, but because of his looks. I beg to differ. I say this all the time. The man could be wearing a potato sack, a turtleneck, and it is his phenomenal talent that each and every time blows me away. Again, this event was no different. I only wish, just like with Genuine, that he would have been on longer. He did do quite a few songs. I did finally get to see him with no shirt on. He did the shirtless performance. Did not disappoint. So I loved it. Again, I wish it would have been longer. I can't get enough of his catalog. I love so many of his songs that I just always wish that I was able to attend an event where he's actually on as the main act or the closer, the last act. So, or performer, not act, but performer. Because I just think he's phenomenal, and I always leave wanting more. This, again, was no different. Now, after Tank, I believe who came on was, I can't really remember the order now because it's been like a month. But it was either SW or Dru Hill. Regardless of the order, both of them destroyed that stage. Again, I had not seen Dru Hill or SWV before, and oh my God, they're like, talk about an excellent performance. Their voices are, I want to use the word impeccable because it's just like all of them sounded exactly like they do when you hear them in a recording. And I know that recordings, you normally have different things that are altered or enhanced. But I'm going to be honest with you, they weren't in a studio. They were on a stage with just them and the mic and the music, and each and every performance, each and every song that they did was phenomenal. I was literally in my heaven. Both the performances, every song that they performed was amazing. I don't think anyone else in the venue had a different opinion than I have. You could see that the crowd was just eating it all up. They loved each and every performance. Again, none of these artists disappointed. I it made me proud to promote R&B. It made me proud to be such a fan and promote and support a lot of these artists. Um, so again, Drew Hill, SWV did a lot of their catalog, and both of them, I think all of the artists that performed, actually, not both of them, but all of the artists left me wanting to see them again. Um, I definitely recommend, if they come to your city, that you attend their event, because I was highly impressed. Um, once the very last performer was actually Keith Sweat. There was things that I heard Keith Sweat do with his voice at this event that I didn't even know he was that type of singer. I didn't know. I just didn't know, and shame on me, to be honest with you. What an amazing performer. Oh my God. Um, Keith Sweat also did one of the dopest things that I have seen a performer do in quite some time, which was during his performance, he brought out the young gentleman that was all over social media, with the clip of him singing Keith Sweat to a group of aunties on a cruise. We all loved it. The kid sounds phenomenal still. I know I wouldn't be able to do a Keith Sweat song or any other song. So he actually did really, really good. He brought out the kid. Um, he did a lot of his catalog. And just like all the other performers, no lie, he sounded amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And I am a very big Keith Sweat fan. Um, Everyone around me was enjoying themselves. The majority of the time we were standing up. It's like I kept standing up, excuse me, dancing, singing, enjoying the crowd, um, doing so many things where I don't think I stood still in my seat. I didn't sit for too long, because the moment I would sit down, one of the performers would come up or come out, start performing, and I immediately was back up again. It was such a vibe. Um, I'm glad I went. I'm glad that I chose that as one of the events to celebrate my 51st birthday. Um, I think that event, in my eyes, and I have been to quite a few events, from all the performances to the entire vibe, the crowd, everything to me was flawless. From their voices to the dancing that they were doing when they were dancing, to when the performers were actually interacting with the fans and the crowd, from A to Z. To me, that was, if somebody were to ask me what was one of the most flawless events that you have been to, I would definitely mention this for sure. I would actually even consider it again with the exact same lineup, same songs. I would definitely do it again. It is definitely something to repeat. Um, I don't think I have a bad thing. My seats were amazing. The people I was around were amazing. Because, sometimes you could be sitting in those seats and you just got negative Nancy's all around you, or people that you could tell that they're not really there for the event. They're there to maybe please the person they're there with, or that was not the case at all. Everybody I saw around me was enjoying the performances just as much as I was. Um, Now, it lasted quite some time, so I know I definitely got my money's worth. It wasn't something where I felt like anything was too short besides Tank's performance and, of course, Genuine's. Um, but the entire event itself lasted a few hours. Um, by the end of the event, it is something where I was extremely tired. I did have to at that point, and by the way, the seats, the price point, especially for the seats that I had, um, that was amazing too. And that was something that I was paying attention to. I have no complaints whatsoever of where I was located as far as my seats. Um, the I did get, like I normally do, I did get up and go get a beer, which was, the pricing was good with that too. It wasn't, it was a lot cheaper than I normally would have to spend on even a beer anywhere else here in Miami. It could be because it isn't a casino, but I'm not sure if that was the case. I did use the bathrooms. There was ample bathrooms. Um, they were clean. It wasn't too crowded. Um, there was a lot of people there, so I did make sure that when I arrived, because I was doing the fashion show as the first event and then the actual show, um, I did want to arrive by a particular time, but I'm also glad I did, because I wanted to make sure I got the parking and located where each event that I was going to be at. And this is why I say this. Leaving is a whole nother story. I think I said this earlier when I started speaking. Now, when I was leaving, I forgot where I had parked. Meaning, I had taken a picture of where I was parked, but how to get there is what I forgot. Um, and I was in a rush now when I was leaving to be able to make the after party, which was in Miami, not in Hollywood, Florida. And Hollywood, for those that don't know, is in Broward. So it was still, because of traffic, it was still going to be something where I would be driving some time, and I wanted to make the event so I could also enjoy the after party. And it was about, I want to say, like about midnight, when the event ended, close to midnight, if not midnight, maybe possibly a little bit later. So it seemed as if the large crowd that was leaving with me all had attended Keith Sweat's birthday bash. Because it seems like at the time that I was leaving now to go pick up my car, everybody was leaving, even though there was a lot of people that stayed in the casino. But it was just such a huge crowd. So this is why I mention this. If you're going to be doing one of these events, especially at the Hard Rock, take into consideration that when you are leaving the event, you have to get on elevators. You have to push through the crowds, not in the actual event, but to get to where you parked your car, to get to, the garage or wherever it is or however it is that you actually parked your vehicle. So that did take some time. Now, I was wearing heels. Thank God I was smart and I brought spare shoes. They were in my car though, and it was some sneakers because I anticipated that when I was leaving that my feet were going to be killing me, and boy were they. So the problem is I didn't anticipate that I was going to have to walk so much after the show to go locate my car. Not only did I walk a lot, I met my steps for the day, which for those that don't know, I walked my over 5 miles that day, that night. And mainly I think it was looking for my car. So, so my feet were definitely hurting. The dogs were a barking. Um, so, and I also had to go up flights of steps because I needed to go to the fifth floor in the garage. With that said, I finally locate my car, pushed through all the people, found the car. At that point, I knew that I had a particular amount of time to get to where I was going to do the after party before that location closed. And the after party had started earlier for those that weren't attending Keith Sweat's birthday bash, the actual concert. Some people just went to the after party, which started, I believe, around 9 p.m. I believe it was a doo-wop. I could be wrong. So it took about, with the traffic from the Hard Rock to where the doo-wop or where the after party was, because I can't remember if it was a doo-wop or not. But it was an after party. So that was at the Urban in Wynwood here in Miami. So for those that don't know, that's like with traffic especially, that was a good hour. So I was already stressing because I was like, oh man, I definitely want to make the event. I know that I know R&B Money was going to be there. And I wanted to make sure that I supported, as I always do, I wanted to make sure that I supported Headliner, which was who was throwing the after party, A Fly Guy, which was the DJ at the after party, and of course, the R&B Money guys, Tank and Jay Valentine, who attended the after party. Could I have opted to not go? Yeah, but again, I wanted to make sure that I supported. I know that it was a once in a lifetime type of situation because I don't know when they were going to come back. I know that Jay Valentine does not normally do these events. So I wanted to, again, just make sure that I was there to support. I mean, I support them so much already as it is on my social media and going to a lot of the events that they do have, that I wanted to make sure that this was no different. Also, if I do all these after parties, why wouldn't I do Keith Sweat's after party? So in my head, I was like, I'm going to slap on these sneakers. I'm going to drive my 45 minutes to an hour to get there, and I'm going to just make the best of it. Mind you, by the time I did get there, I think it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was pretty late for me. I was extremely tired. I was trying my best to just make the best of it. Um, it is something where I think when I got there, I was able to find a place to sit. Thank goodness. Because at that point, from doing the fashion show and the actual show, where again, as I mentioned, I was up, I was down. I don't think I really sat down too much at the actual show because I was just enjoying all the music, dancing, singing. I think I was just full of so much joy that I couldn't sit still. Um, by the time I sat down at that after party, boy, was I feeling it. Oh my goodness, was I feeling it. But again, I was making the best of it. It was extremely hot. It has been extremely hot in Miami for a couple months now. Like abnormally hot, especially at night. So I was sweating. It's something where I was feeling sore. So I grabbed a seat. I waited for I waited for everybody to arrive that was at the actual show. Um, and I did get to say hello to Tank. I did get to say hello to Jay Valentine. I have had people ask me, where are the pictures, Betty, of Jay Valentine? I didn't take any pictures. My hellos to both of them were brief. Again, it was just being courteous, and it was me saying hello to two people that I support a lot. Um, One thing I knew ahead of time was this, because he says it all the time, and I do follow him, and I'm never going to do something that an artist or a celebrity or even a regular person is always adamant about people not doing. And that is, he does not like to take pictures. He does not like people to film him. So I wanted to make sure that I respected that. So I didn't even ask. I'm going to be honest. So do I have a Jay Valentine pic? No, I don't. I have a memory though. um, so do I have a Keith Sweat at the after party pic? No, I don't. Not because I didn't see them there, but because I was trying to give them their privacy. Um, I did get some content while I was there to show people what the crowd was looking like, but I'm going to be honest, by the time I got there, it was later than usual for these events, for these after parties. So initially, when I first arrived, there was more of a crowd than while I was already there, maybe for like about an hour. People started leaving because the actual venue closes, I believe, by 2. So I'm glad I went because I wanted to definitely have the experience. And again, I wanted to support. I wanted to support people that I consider my peoples. Um, I don't think, though, that I will be doing um, something where I'm doing 3 events back to back again because it was extremely, extremely exhausting. I don't know how they do it because, to be honest with you, man, the next day I felt like I was run over by a bus. I was smiling awfully hard, and I was just giddy with joy because I loved every last moment of it. However, um, it definitely did take a toll on me. So I don't think I'll be doing 3 events back to back again. I might even next time choose to do either the after party or the actual show. I think even 2 events back to back is a lot. Um, let's see what else. The music at the after party was the DJ I was able to catch was really who I was there to see, and that's A Fly Guy. He did great. Um, I wasn't drinking there because it was so hot. The only thing I actually had was shout out to the young lady who normally they try to give you a hard time, but she didn't. I did go up to one of the bartenders and I was like, "Look, I really just want a glass of ice," because it was just so hot. I remember there was a moment as I'm dancing and listening to the music that they had these huge fans, like these industrial fans, and I don't remember if the last time I went to the urban they had those there, but thank God they did. Because there was a moment where I just stood in front of the fan, just letting the fan hit me and cool me off and I was lifting up my hair and just trying to, trying to do one of these joints because I was just like, no, I am going to melt. Mind you, I also still knew that I still had to drive back to my home from the urban, which is a good 30 to 40 minutes. And I'm being I'm being I'm being unrealistic when I say 30 minutes. It's usually 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. Um, Again, if I had a chance to do it all over again, uh, because I know I normally wouldn't do three events back to back to back, would I? Yeah, I would, because it's for the people that I went there to go see. If it were other artists, might I do it again? I don't think so. um, my spotlight was dim by the time that I left. Uh, at the end of the day, the main thing I want people to get out of this is the artists, the entire event, meaning the show itself. It was something that if they were to come tomorrow again with the exact same show, would I consider doing it again even though I've already seen it? Yes, I would. Um, if somebody were to ask me what my opinion is or how many spotlights or what do I think as far as the rating on the event, if it were from a 1 to a 10, 10 being phenomenal, they were an 11. um all the artists did amazing. I hope y'all enjoy the content that I was able to get and we can fit in the actual um episode, because it is a lot that I did get. Sorry for those that wanted the picture of Jay, but I really respect the artists that I do support a lot. So if it is something where they're being very vocal on something they do not like, I'm definitely not going to be that person that's going to be there doing that thing. So I do apologize. I wasn't able to get a picture. I'm going to be honest once again. I didn't even ask because since it is something where he's always promoting that that's not his vibe, I'm definitely not going to ask him to do something he's uncomfortable with. Not that he might anyways. And I know Tank, usually I ask and he's like, okay, or whatever, but I didn't even want to bother him with that then. Um, so you won't see those in the content, but you'll see him performing, Tank, and the other performers. Again, if they come to your city, would I recommend that you do it? I definitely would. As I'm saying, if they come back to Miami, each and every one of them, yep, I'm going to definitely try to make it again. Same songs, I don't care. Um, Top tier is all I keep on thinking. As I'm even speaking now, I just continue to think top tier talent. Um, Man, if there is a bar as far as performers, artists, creatives, they are definitely it. Everybody that was in this lineup, amazing. I was about to sing Amazing by Tank, but you know what? Every time I attempt it, it just doesn't sound the way it's supposed to. So I'm not going to do that. Um, that is it for my spotlight for today. Uh, I really don't have anything negative to say about the event, about any of the events. I really did enjoy the fashion show. I really did like. They did tell us about. I didn't know this, but Keith Sweat also has candles. It's not just the bags, but the bags were very nice. Um, if you have the opportunity to do any of these events that he's throwing, man, even if it's like a movie premiere, I don't care what this man does. I really do think I will seriously consider going and making sure that I go. Um, I think that's it for me today. For my next episode, I will be spotlighting the other event or the last event for what I considered my birthday bash, or my celebration of my birthday, and that is on the final day of July, which is my birthday month. I was able to go to Breezy Bowl on July 31st, and I also attended the after party that Headliner threw for Breezy Bowl at Live. Um, I hope you all enjoy that content as well. I'm sure you will. Uh, it was also an amazing time and an amazing event, and I was extremely tired after all that as well. Um, I hope, if nothing else, these spotlights inspire you all to attend these events, because I know, like myself, you will not be disappointed. Um, I will see everybody in 2 weeks for my next episode, which once again will be my spotlight on Breezy Bowl and the Breezy Bowl after party that Headliner threw. Everyone, stay safe, spread love, and walk with integrity. Peace.